Hi guys, and welcome to another episode of Kabir Considers. So this video is going to be a bit different. We just got back from America. We spent 4 days in New York and 7 days in California and Vegas. It was an amazing trip. So much fun. We did so much things. I'm still kind of tired from it. I'm not going to lie. We did so much walking. We walked I would say an average of 20,000 steps a day. We drove over 1,500 miles in 6 days. I know some of you guys are going to be laughing at that, thinking, that's nothing. Why are you making such a big deal of it? Like that, for anyone from England, driving that much in a week is a lot. It's a lot. Believe it or not, that was the first time I've driven an automatic car. It took, and also driving on the other side of the road. I've driven on the other side of the road before, but never driving an auto at the same time. So there was a few moments where I was like, a few sketchy moments, a few hairy moments. But yeah, this video, I'm going to talk about the things that I really liked about the West Coast, California and Vegas, and things that I didn't like so much. So one thing I really loved about the West Coast was the chilled out vibe. San Francisco, baby. Woo! Look at the palm trees, the sun. It's definitely more relaxed for sure. New York is full of hustle and bustle. People are just go, go, go. Here, it seems a lot more laid back, which I kind of enjoy. We've only been here for maybe an hour, but I'm loving it so far. I'm definitely loving the Cali vibe, totally. We're gonna get some coffee and go to surf. Yeah, it's fun. So compared to New York is obviously this really high energy, place where there's so many things going on at one time. There's just so much things to see, to take in. It's quite similar to central London in that sense, but even more so. It's like central London times 5 in terms of, the things that are happening. So when we went to California, it was as soon as we landed and we were walking through SFO, San Francisco International, it was just so chill and mellow and the sunshine, and it was just so nice to just kind of loosen up, and just it was cool, just that chilled out vibe. I know it's a bit of a stereotype, the surfer dude, hey dude, you want to go to the beach? Yeah, but we did see quite a bit of that, and I really, really enjoyed that vibe. Another thing that we loved about the West Coast was the great Asian food. So much great sushi, so much great Chinese food. And to be honest, the food in general was amazing. Look at all this amazing food. Yummy. Little pastrami on rye, some vegetable soup here at the Yosemite kind of restaurant cafe. Yummy. Particularly in San Francisco, the seafood was just brilliant. We went to Bubba Gump Shrimp and we got loads of seafood. We got clam chowder, which I tried for the first time. That was really great. We got a shrimp selection. So there was grilled shrimp, fried shrimp, and boiled shrimp. That was amazing. We got a king crab. That was my favorite. Obviously, it's a bit of a nightmare getting into the crab, but it was just delicious. Yeah, the seafood was just brilliant. And another thing I have to mention, and for me, this is one of the highlights of the trip, were the national parks. So here we are at Lower Yosemite Falls. So the water is snow that fell at the top that's been melting. It's as you watch it, it's got this a mistiness that's coming off. It's kind of otherworldly. Yeah, you've got all these people here as well, just taking it all in. It is super mesmerizing. The size of this tree. Wow. We went to Sequoia National Park and Yosemite. We spent 2 nights in Yosemite and 1 night in Sequoia. And I will never forget Sequoia National Park in particular. Yosemite was great, but for me, Sequoia was my favorite. Just, I'd seen many videos of the big trees, the big sequoias, and seeing General Sherman up close, there's nothing like it. This tree is gargantuan. Like, it is just unbelievable how tall and thick it is. It is just crazy how big it is. It's just, for me, like, it was breathtaking. It really, really was. Like, I was so excited to see the tree. I was worried that, I was going to be let down, that it was going to be much smaller than I thought it was. Like, the Statue of Liberty, as amazing as it is, it was much smaller than I thought the Statue of Liberty was gigantic. I thought it was going to be like the Eiffel Tower, but it's a lot smaller. But if anything, General Sherman was bigger than I thought it was. And the hikes in Yosemite were just brilliant, just to be able to disconnect. You don't hear any cars. Like, once you get 5-10 minutes away from the car park, you hear no cars. So for someone who lives in a city, where you're hearing cars all the time and people, just to be able to properly detach from everything was just brilliant. Another thing I loved about the West Coast was Vegas. So you got the Bellagio, Caesar's Palace, the MGM Grand, somewhere down there, miniature Eiffel Tower, Flamingo, Treasure Island in the distance there. You got Trump Hotel, which we're staying in.
It's not going anywhere.
Vegas was just brilliant. Like, even though I lost money in Vegas, it wasn't a lot of money, just a couple $100. It was just so much fun walking the boulevard. Like, I've most of us have seen like Ocean's 11, movies like that, and you just see all of these iconic places like the MGM Grand, the Bellagio, Caesar's Palace, the Mirage, seeing all these iconic casinos and things like that, and in real life, and going into them. Like, we went into the Bellagio, we went into the Cosmopolitan, we went to see the fountain, the fountain show at the Bellagio. It didn't disappoint. It was great. And even though I lost a bit of money at the Cosmopolitan, we got at least 50% of it back in free drinks, because when you're at the tables, you get free drinks. So yeah, that was just fun. It was just so much fun being in the Las Vegas Boulevard. You see a lot of things that you just wouldn't see. Like, we saw this guy getting like hit with like this, like spanked by this. You see a lot of things in Vegas that you won't see anywhere else. Loved the energy. Another thing I absolutely loved about, to be honest, I love this about America in general, is how cheap gas is, like petroleum.
Woohoo! Free gas!
Like, here we're paying £1.60 at least per litre. So per gallon, that's like, quick maths, that's like £7. So that's what, like £8.50. That's like $9 per gallon we're paying. The most that you're going to pay in America, from what we saw, was like $6.50 per gallon. So you're saving a third, and we got petrol as cheap as $4. We got it for $4.30. This was in, oh God, was this in this? I think this was on the way. This was in Fresno. We got $4.30 per gallon, which is less than half than what we pay here. It was just unbelievable how cheap it was. And I'm sure a lot of you guys are saying, it's not cheap, Kabir. But that's just because you don't live here. Like, we pay way more. Another thing to love about, the West Coast is just the beauty of the West Coast. Like, just even the mundane things like driving along the highway, the landscapes, it's just stunning. Here you're just seeing probably concrete, if you're lucky, empty green space. Whereas, driving from, San Francisco to Vegas to LA, these long drives, you're seeing like mountains and things like that. You're seeing rolling hills. You're seeing, just absolutely stunning nature. Like it really, really was different. Really, really cool. Now, there were things that obviously I loved, things that I didn't like so much about California and Vegas. So the first one was the amount of like lawyers, like accident lawyers advertising their services. It felt like literally we couldn't drive 500 yards without seeing a massive billboard for a lawyer advertising their services. Have you been in an accident? Had somebody stepped on your shoe? Sue! Like, it was just too much. It was like, is there such a demand for like litigation in the West Coast in particular that needs to have all of these lawyers advertising their services? It just felt like a lot. I can imagine being sued in America must happen a lot more than it happens here. A lot of cases must get thrown out. I don't know why it annoyed me just seeing all of those billboards, literally one after the other, after the other, after the other. I'll put like some photos in the video here. It was a lot. And kind of leading from the first one, it was just the amount of advertising in general. Like everywhere you looked, especially in Vegas, there were multiple screens. One thing I've noticed about Vegas, as well as New York, like Times Square, there's screens everywhere. Like, look at this. This is a building, right? A humongous hotel. And they've got like, it looks like 100-foot TV screen, like advertising, products and stuff. It feels like a lot of the time in Vegas and in Times Square and Manhattan, there's like this constant drive to like get people to spend money, like spend. And I suppose that's what keeps the economy going, I guess. It's what keeps America's economy strong. But yeah, there's a lot of consumerism, especially here in Vegas, I would say, and Times Square. That were trying to sell you something, like trying to get you to spend, like spend. Like me and the missus were discussing this. We were like, if we moved to America making what we currently make, would we be able to maintain the exact same lifestyle? Probably not, honestly. Like it would take a lot of discipline because it just feels like we would spend way more on things that we probably didn't need that much, because the advertising is just everywhere. Like as soon as you land at the airports, when you're, going down the escalator, there's a screen along the escalator trying to sell you stuff. Everywhere you look while you're driving, there's massive billboards, there's screens that are trying to sell you stuff. The consumerism is probably more than what I'm used to. And obviously I realize that, it takes people spending money to keep an economy going. But, especially, at least here in the UK, there's a cost of living crisis. I think, maybe try and help people save a bit more rather than spend a bit more. Another thing that, really kind of shocked me, I didn't like it, but it more shocked me, to be honest, was the amount of just poverty and addiction that we saw. Especially, to be honest, it was all over, but Union Square in San Francisco was shocking. It was shocking. We're talking like streets full of people, using, like clearly under the influence. Like we saw so many people just standing there, like kind of leaning over like that. It was broad daylight, I was just thinking like, because this city, San Francisco, you've got Silicon Valley down the road. The amount of taxes that must get, paid from, by Silicon Valley, is there not enough money to, fund potentially public rehab centers, try and get these people clean? Like, I know that a lot of these people, they're not ready to become clean, but just the amount of just pure abject poverty and addiction that we saw, it was everywhere, to be honest. Even in Vegas on the boulevard, we saw it. In LA, it was there. Maybe not so bad in the wealthy areas like Beverly Hills. We drove through Hollywood Boulevard, areas like that. It wasn't so bad, but it was still there. But yeah, San Francisco was really shocking. Another thing we didn't like so much about the West Coast was the lack of lighting on the highways. It just didn't feel like here, you know, any motorway, we call them motorways. Every maybe 100 yards, you're going to have a big street light, like really powerful, that really lights the road so you can see where you're going, so that when you're driving at night, you know, you've got really no fear aside from, you know, people speeding and stuff like that. Whereas on highways in America, the lighting just doesn't seem sufficient for me. Like we drove back from from Yosemite, the middle of the Yosemite National Park. Our hotel, we didn't realize, was 130 miles, all in the same national park. The hotel was 130 miles from the center of the park. And we didn't realize the sun was going to set well before we got back to the hotel. So we had to drive an hour in pitch black, virtually no lighting. We were relying on the headlights from the car. It was a dirt road as well. So, you know, you had bits of gravel bouncing under the car. We had to go super slow. We were a bit scared, I'm not going to lie to you. And if that road was well lit, a lot of that anxiety would have gone away, because at least we would have been able to see where we're going. We probably couldn't see more than 5 to 10 meters ahead of us. You know, it was kind of scary. Another thing we didn't like so much was just the cost of groceries. Groceries are definitely more expensive in America than they are here. Prices are insane. $9 for some cheese. Ow! Which surprised me because, you know, America grows a lot of its produce domestically. So we thought, you know, things like, you know, apples, oranges, vegetables, stuff like that would surely be cheaper. But no, like I would say the prices on average were about maybe 30% more expensive than they are here. Some things like potato chips, we're talking 3 times the price. A big bag of Lay's potato chips here is like £2. In America, like $6-7. Couldn't really believe it. And another thing that we didn't love was just how far everything is. Like everything is really, really far. And that's just because America's massive. America's huge. You know, we're talking like, I have to bring it up again, like, because when we booked the hotel in the national park, we just assumed that it can't be that far. We're talking, it's a national park. National parks here are maybe 20 miles large, like in terms of its square mileage. You know, Yosemite is more than 100 miles wide, way more. So yeah, just everything is really far. So you have to really account for that. Had we really took that into consideration, maybe we wouldn't have done as many cities as we did, but I'm still glad we did that many cities because it was an amazing trip. All in all, really loved the West Coast. California, absolutely amazing place. LA, such a cool vibe. San Francisco as well, really cool, relaxed vibe. The Golden Gate Bridge is absolutely beautiful. You know, that's another thing that I loved about the West Coast, the Golden Gate Bridge. You know, I know it's just a bridge, but it really is a really good looking bridge. And just the little beach near the bridge as well, super chill. We ate there. It was really nice. Yeah, definitely loved California. Vegas as well. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.